real conversation, and some hard truths. Gangs, drugs, and guns. Giving a voice to those willing to sacrifice. We have stories that need to be told. We have lessons that need to be taught. Protect and serve. Welcome to The Quiet Professional.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Nathan Romas with you again. And today we've got Sergeant Eric McCants of the Burke County Sheriff's Office from the state of Georgia. Eric started his policing career with the Waynesboro Police Department. He eventually transitioned to being a campus police officer for Payne College, as well as a school resource officer at Richmond County Board of Education. During this time in his professional career, he obtained his Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice Administration and his Master of Science in Administration of Justice and Security. He also became a 5th degree black belt in American Karate and hopefully I'm saying this, Gung Kai. And he then moved to the field operations, to being a field operations deputy at the Burke County Sheriff's Office. Since then, he's worked in areas such as Special Operations Deputy with the SWAT team. He's been a sergeant within Field Operations Division and is currently a narcotics investigative sergeant and still finds time to be married, has a wife and 5 children. So he's a busy guy. Welcome, Eric.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
One thing I did want to mention too, right off the bat is, and at the end, I'll give you a chance to kind of plug where people can follow you on social media and stuff. But people got to see your motivational videos because I see you just crushing the bench press and you're out there running.
Yeah. So I got to work out because you never know where you got to go hands on. But people always talk about me lifting weights and stuff. But fun fact, a couple of guys I work with were like 2 or 3 times stronger than me. So I got to keep in decent shape, and then running, is part of the job in law enforcement. It's never been my biggest cup of tea. I can do sprints, but like a long distance, it's not something I like doing, but I've worked over it over the years, basically.
Well, if I can ask, like, how big are you? Like, how tall and how much do you weigh?
Currently, I am 6'1", about 290.
Jeez. Who's fighting with you?
Man, I got 2 partners. Like, one partner, he doesn't work in law enforcement. My other partner that does work in law enforcement, that does narcotics, he's about the same size as me. He's about 6'1", about 280, but like I say, he got a little bit more strength than I do. And I got another partner that's like 6'5", 330, and he just has unhuman strength. So he's just one of those big boys like that.
So you guys don't even use rams; you just push doors in.
No, see, man, we ran into a door. A couple of our narcotics guys did. Man, we did a search warrant on a house. Most houses don't have a house reinforced. And I said, I normally run the ram for the team. Mm-hmm. And I hit that door for almost a minute, man. That door beat me down. It literally beat me back. But what happened was when we got to the other side of it, they had metal rods attached to the frame of the door, and they slid poles behind them. So when the door was reinforced at the top and the bottom, mm-hmm. and man, that door, man, it didn't have no give to it. And I mean, I was going for it. So yeah, it whooped me up. But like I said, most people don't do that nowadays. Some people do have like mechanical things, breaches for doors, stuff like that. But yeah, that me and that ram, man, we fought that door. That door won that day.
Well, you know what? We're going to get into that for sure. But let's start kind of at the beginning. And can you talk a little bit about you, where you grew up, and kind of your life trajectory?
Oh, yes. I can do that. Actually, I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, which is the area I stay in now. Grew up with my mother, and she had 3 kids. I'm the youngest of 3. I have an older brother and an older sister. I started off in a private school, which was Living Word Christian Center, which was the church I was going to. Went there all the way through my 2nd grade. Then once the school closed down, I went to public school and started at Meadowbrook. It was a little change for me because, like I said, at private school, you had a little bit more structure. Like I said, they powdered you. It was only a little bit more. We wasn't exposed to a lot of things being in private school. So when I got to public school, it was a little different. I got a little trouble for like my 3rd through 8th grade. It was just a change for me. Like I said, man, I enjoyed, like I am now, like I enjoy having fun, laughing, all that stuff. And my teachers didn't really take too kindly to that. So I got in trouble quite a few times, a couple of fights here and there, stuff like that. But eventually I grew up. Ended up going to high school, and during those years, my early years, I ended up playing string instruments. My mother always has in music. I started off on the violin. I went to middle school, ended up playing the trumpet, and I played the baritone. Did that for my freshman year of high school, and then I fell in love with sports. The first sport I started playing was wrestling. I enjoyed wrestling. I stayed at 189, which was my weight class. I wrestled, played football, and I did soccer and track just to stay in shape. As far as college, I went off to school for business management. Like I said, I was taking martial arts by then. I was about in my fourth or fifth year with my cousin, who was my instructor. He's a 8th degree black belt. And then my uncle, who was his teacher, he's a 10th degree black belt and go for Wushu. We took Yoshika karate, and then we blended the style together to create Gunkai. But anyway, the plan was for me to go to school, get the business management part of it so I can help run the business part of it, pay the bills, make sure the lights are going, make sure everything's needed in school that runs properly. Well, I was 17 when I graduated and went to college. A little too much for me. I partied a little bit too much and like going to class. Got a couple of refund checks, spent that on the wrong stuff. Ended up having to get kicked out of school. Started working at a local grocery store, which is called Kroger, which is closed now. But I was working there. We didn't have special security up there, which was officers. They did it on their private time. Just happened to be nosy one day because my mother was bothering me about getting back in school or telling me I need to find something to do with my life. And the officer was talking to another person about going to the police academy. So I kind of overheard, and my mother was still literally sending me text messages talking about you need to find something to do. Let me know what you're going to do as far as school or something. Then I went to talk to the police officer guy. He told me about joining the police academy. I ended up joining it, ended up falling in love with it, and I've been doing it ever since.
So if we kind of go back a bit into the childhood too, did you have any family in policing that kind of guided you into this at all? Or is it literally your first kind of interaction with police would have been when you talked to that recruiter or that police officer?
Well, I had an uncle who was in law enforcement. He did it in the city I'm in now, but he did it before I was born. He was out of it before I was born also. But one of my best friends, I was best friends in high school, is Father Lonnie Moore. He was an all law enforcement officer. I dealt with him a lot. He just helped me during my school ages and as far as lifting weights. But like I said, he still lifts weights now. He's about 64, 65, and he's still lifting major weights. But he was a law enforcement officer then. But like I said, it was never on my radar like that. Like I say, it really just popped up, like I say, when I was seeing my officer at the grocery store and got talking to him about that. So it wasn't nothing I planned on doing. It just kind of fell into my lap. I ended up loving it.
Did your family say anything about police when you said you wanted to go into it? Did they kind of have a positive or negative view of it?
Oh, my mom didn't care. My mother told me, she said, just make sure you're going to stick with it. But like I said, at the time, the police academy, you had to buy your own equipment. Like you say, your badge, your gun. Well, not your gun, your brass, your boots, and all the stuff you wore during the academy. So you had to buy that stuff. And like I said, I didn't have that much money there. So she forked out the money for it. She said, just make sure if you're going to do this, you stick with it. So like I said, besides that, my brother and sister didn't care. Like I said, my grandfather was fine with it. They always told me just make sure I'll be careful and do what I need to do to make sure I do the job correctly.
Well, and part of the reason I asked is just obviously with a lot of the narratives out there right now with police, but what's the perception, I guess, of police in Georgia? Do they generally have a good relationship with the community, or is it like you might see in Seattle?
Well, for the most part in Georgia, like I said, we have good relationship with the community. Most of them appreciate us, but like I said, you always going to have those couples that don't like law enforcement just for one reason or another. That's just going to be anywhere, but we don't have those major problems, especially in the county I work for. I work for a rural county. It's about 20,000 people, but 835 square miles. So they really enjoy law enforcement down there. Like I said, we just have that rapport with our community. So some of the other major cities that have those problems with the community and law enforcement, we just don't see that around there. While you'll have a couple people that just don't like law enforcement just for one reason or another, we don't really face those issues currently in the county that I work for.
Yeah, and did you guys have any sort of the Black Lives Matter protests or riots, depending what people want to call it? But did you have anything of that nature when all this was going on?
No, sir. We didn't have any of those effects in the county where I'm at.
Yeah,
They say you didn't touch nowhere near where we were at.
Can you kind of maybe walk us through a little bit about, because you're talking about the police academy. So is that the actual academy to get into policing, or is it like a program before? Maybe it's like a stepping stone.
No, it's the program, the police academy. It's taught at a local college. That's a technical college. And the way they do it is you go 18 weeks, and while you're getting your certification to become a law enforcement officer, you also get college credit. My current sheriff was actually the head instructor when I went through the academy, and that's how we became such close friends. You go through everything there. You go through your taser, your OC spray, learn your case law, firearms, driving and all that stuff, and you go through all that through the academy. And once you pass, you can go through any agency in Georgia and apply to become a law enforcement officer. But some agencies make you go through their academy just because, like, if you're going to become a state trooper or go to GBI or a place like that, you had to go through their academies also. But you wouldn't have to go through the basic law enforcement thing. But basically, once you finish with that certification, you can go to any agency, police department or sheriff department, anything like that, and you can become a police officer right then. And like I say, you just go through your core work at that academy that I went through.
And you had to pay your way through most of it, or at least buy the equipment?
Yeah, so basically, we had to buy shirts, pants, and we had a uniform we had to wear. We had to have our own gun belt and the stuff that goes on your gun belt, your radio holster, your gun holster, things like that, belt keepers and stuff like that. And you pay for that part. But what was a good part about that, going through that academy, was that in Georgia, we have a scholarship called the Hope Scholarship. If your grades are good enough, they'll pay for it. So basically, that part was paid for me. Like, I didn't actually have to pay for the actual class. I just had to pay for my equipment while I went through.
Okay.
So that's how it goes. But some people pay out of pocket. Like, if you went through the other academies, if your agency didn't sponsor you and pay for you, you had to pay for it out of pocket yourself.
Okay. It sounds similar to some parts of Canada. Like, some of them, each, a specific agency will run their own training. And if you want to go there, you do that. Some other places have, like, the province, be like the state equivalent, right? They got the Justice Institute. So you go to that specific school, and then you would apply to police services in the area. And I think they reimburse some part of it. Like, you go to the school, and then if you are successful getting on with a service, if you stay like past probation or something, I believe you can get some money back, or maybe all of it. But it's kind of neat how all the different areas kind of run these programs, but it's very similar between Canada and the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's like some agency. If they sponsor you, they'll make you sign basically like a contract that you're going to do like 1 or 2 years at the agency, because they sponsor you through the academy, just to get, like, make sure they get, like I said, they get their money's worth out. But because they're putting you through it and paying your way through it, they have some kind of fruit coming from what they paid for.
So when you were getting into policing, at the beginning of it all, did you kind of have like any idea of, maybe what your career might look like? And has it sort of turned out that way, or have you managed to change things at all?
Well, really, I didn't have any plan. Like I said, I didn't know much about law enforcement. Like I say, basically, all I thought law enforcement was people that just answered calls and, went up down the street and did traffic stops. So when I first got into law enforcement, my sheriff was my instructor in the police academy. He left halfway through because he became a chief of police down there in a city called Waynesboro. During the academy, he offered me a job down there. That was my first job offer. So I was like, I just took it. And like I say, it helped train me up. But basically, I started off in what we call the housing division, which is a specialized division. And basically, you go through all the housing areas in the city that we police and make sure you take care of the crime there. And they had a kind of issue there with people then that they just didn't have too much respect for the police. They were having a lot of break-ins, a lot of thefts, a lot of fights in these areas. So basically, what he told me and my partner was, hey, do what you need to do to get this place under control. So we did what we needed to do, get it under control. We arrested the people we needed to. We gave people tickets. We did what we needed to do to get the area under control. But me being 20, he was like, okay, well, you got this place under control. You don't have to be so heavy-handed with your approach. Like, you got to back off and kind of let people police themselves. Because the thing is, we want voluntary compliance to the laws and rules. Well, I was still young. I was like, no, we still got to go full force. So I was one of those people that like car chases. I like running after people. I like all that stuff. So I like the excitement part of it. I didn't learn, like I said, the patient part until a little bit later on. So that was kind of hard for me. So he kept telling me, like, okay, man, I need to calm down. I said, it's not like that anymore. And I say other things led to me him telling me to resign from that job. So it was a learning thing. Like I said, all I knew was just the housing thing, just the car chases, working with people with drugs and stuff like that. So I never knew all the other parts that come with law enforcement, like writing good reports, or like I say, just being a community person so you can build a relationship with people. Because when other crimes happen, you got to have the community to depend on so you can solve them. So
Yeah.
it was one of those things I had to learn for that first year and a half, and then I ended up having to resign. Like I said, I was getting in a little trouble. So just a growing process for me.
Well, I think that's probably the majority of maybe younger guys who get on the job, right? That's just, that 18 to early 20 range. You're just gung ho. You want to get after it. So I could see that kind of being the case. And now you're saying though, like you kind of learned about report writing, right? Or the community relationships. What kind of led you to realizing that?
Well, like I said, he made me resign. He basically fired me. He told me he's just going to let me resign. Like I said, we was always good friends, and he always looked out for me over my career. And basically, like I said, between doing things wrong on the job, like I wasn't violating people's rights or anything like that, but like I said, I was just like heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like I say, the things outside the job, as far as I was young, as far as females, stuff like that, you're like, you need to get your head together, and then once you come back, you'll probably be a better officer. So I resigned, and then one of the guys I worked with became a chief of police at Payne College Police Department. He created that department in like 2013. He hired me on, and then like I said, I worked up there at a college. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like dealing with, children and kids and people in that type of environment. Because like I say, I feel like they call those people a lot. You got to prepare them for the real world, but at the same time, you don't give them a felony record when they just starting their life off. So I understand the part of it, but it was just a growing process for me and a growing process basically for them, learning how to interact with people, let them know the better decisions they make, better things in life will be for them further down the road. So I did that for about a year. Then, like say, my chief that told me to resign, he became the chief of police over basically our K-12 program. It's basically all the kids in this county that I work for. He was the head law enforcement officer for them. So he invited me over there to work for them. So I worked with them for about a year and a half. And basically, like I said, you deal from kids from elementary school to middle school and high school, just wherever school they put you at.
Wow.
So it was just a learning process. You learn patience. Then you kind of learn to understand the backstory of situations. But like I said, everybody doesn't have the best homes growing up. And, you coming in there and they're acting up, there's a reason why they're acting up sometimes. You got to understand that. And so it helped me understand that everything's just not what I see in front of me. Sometimes you got to look, ahead and behind you to see what's going on to fully understand why things are going the way they are. And like I said, that kind of helped me to become the officer I am.
Well, and I kind of forgot to ask this too, but what year did you first get in to the police academy?
2011. I started in 2011.
Oh, okay. So you're right around the same amount of experience I am. I started 2011 as well. So I know kind of what you're saying. Even since 2011 till now, I think policing's changed quite a bit, especially when it comes to building the relationships with the community. And I totally get what you're saying about just slowing down a bit. Not everything is a race, right? And you got to learn that to talk to people. That's probably so up here, I work with our gang suppression team, and informants are a huge part of our job. And dealing with informants and being out there on the street and talking to them, that's all relationship building. And we wouldn't be able to do most of what we do without people talking to us, whether that's informants or the community. Like somebody's got to tell you what's going on.
Yeah, I work in narcotics, so I deal with informants too. So yeah, being able to build a positive relationship with people is going to help you out when people trust you and they, kind of understand that you're going to do what you say. That's kind of very important. And especially like I tell people, especially when you work in any type of investigation work, you're going to need the community to help you out, whether you're solving property crimes, violent crimes, narcotics, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Most time we're not going to be there for when these incidents happen, and you're going to need people to talk to. So if you have a good, personality, you can just talk to people, get information from people. Because I know some people, man, they can just talk the shirt off your back while they're asking for it. They're good like that. Mm-hmm. The others, they just don't know how to talk to people. Like I said, they might be good at their job, but they just don't know how to have that relationship with people to get information from them. So it's something I had to learn. Like I've become better over it, so I understand the importance of just be able to talk to people. And one thing I've learned over law enforcement is most time people, when they go through things, they just want somebody to listen to them. They want to vent first and then listen. But some people like to cut them off. So If you just let them get wherever they need to say out the way, pull them to the side, and go, okay, I understand what you're saying. This is what's going to happen. Most of the time, they'll do what you tell them to do, and you can handle the situation accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right. So far in your career, has there been anyone that you consider a mentor or had, you would kind of note for having a particular influence on your career?
Yeah, well, I've had a couple, but like I said, the main person right now has always been an influence is my sheriff. Like I said, I've been with him most of my career. Like I said, he started me off in the police academy, my first job at Waynesburg Police Department. He's just a great man. Like I say, he's done so much in law enforcement, but like I say, he's the one who pushed me to go through these different jobs. He said, go ahead and get your bachelor's degree and master's degree. He said, you don't want to just be in the same spot for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
He said, make sure you have options. So he's always pushed me towards that. And then my other partner that used to work with me named Charles Prescott, he's the chief of police up there in the city called Atlanta. He was just always one of those larger than life presence. He's about 6'4", always been about 300 pounds. Me and him trained in martial arts together. Basically, like I say, he was older than me. I was younger. He'll tell me, hey, man, we better get in the car. We're going to ride. We're going to do this. Me to being the person I was, okay. We end up getting the fights, whatever, man. It is what it is, man. We just had a good time working together. And then another guy I met recently, maybe like in 2018, named Dennis Benino. He runs a company called Street Cop Training. Probably one of the best law enforcement companies that I know of. He does a lot with interdiction work. He helps me with my interview. Basically, what happened was when I was on crime suppression team, we used to do a whole bunch of drug cases, pick up people with warrants, stuff like that. He was one of the people that would watch my videos and critique them, and not in a bad way, but tell me that, man, maybe if you slow down with how you talk, do this and do that, you'll become a little bit better at your job. And since talking to him and going through a couple of his classes, I made some of my better narcotics cases and drug cases dealing with him. So those three guys are important. But I also have many other people like my SWAT instructor or trainer, Scott Usry. He always keeps us top of the line, good at his training. And then, like I said, the other people that I work with. So there's plenty of people that I can call mentors.
Oh, that's awesome. And do you think, I would imagine most of this stuff, especially like the slowing down and being more patient, you got 5 kids. That must come into play when you're dealing with 5 kids.
Oh, yeah, you got to have patience. The thing about it is I have an older girl. She's the oldest of everybody and 4 boys. And you know how boys are. You come home, something's going to be broke every day. That's just how they are. They're just rough with each other. They're going to fight, play 1 minute, and happy with each other. Next minute, and they're having a full-out brawl. So having patience is important because you can't just always be heavy-handed with everybody. And that's one thing you got to learn with kids. You got to learn how to basically talk to them, let them know that what they're doing is wrong. But also, just enjoy them in the moment and say, you're not going to get it again. So patience is important, but they will try it.
Well, so you did a bit of work in the school resource officer area, and how did you find that? And do you find like a lot of the current narratives with, at least up here, they're doing all these reviews on school resource officers. So whether the program is necessary, whether it creates this, they call it the school to prison pipeline. I've had someone on the program before to talk about this from here locally, but just kind of wondering perspective from down in Georgia. What do you think about the school resource officer program? What's your experience with it, and where do you see it kind of going?
Well, just for me working in and for being around schools, I know it's needed. It's just very important. Like I say, a lot of times these kids, some of them just don't have respect for anybody, and you can't expect a teacher to do what they need to do as far as teaching class and handle a student that's being disruptive and trying to fight people. Like that's where the law enforcement part comes into it. It's going to be necessary. Like I say, man, you see all these different situations that come up around the United States as far as people getting shot on campuses. And I'm not going to say they're going to be able to prevent everything, but they can stop a lot of that. I believe that police presence and many times make people second guess the options they're about to do. Like if you're planning on coming to a school and trying to fight a person, and you don't go to that school and you see like 3 or 4 police cars in front of the school, you're probably going to think twice. You're probably trying to find another means of finding that person instead of going on that campus and trying to fight them. So I'm a big believer in it. I know it's important. I know we got to keep having it. Like I say, man, just like the world's not getting any better, schools aren't getting any better either. Like I say, we still have good kids, but you don't want them to be influenced by those bad kids that keep making disruptions, stopping class, and all those things like that. So we just got to make sure that we keep them there And, and some of the places that where I work at or the places that, I live in and stuff like that, they want to add more law enforcement presence to the schools just to keep down on the disruptions and hopes that the presence of law enforcement will deter people from acting up inside the schools.
Well, I think too, a lot of people, their first interaction with a police officer is either, if it's not at the school, they're, getting a ticket or whatever it might be. So sometimes it's not always the most positive, but also in today's world with all the social media, and that's where most people get their news now, just some of the videos out there, it's usually a video of a cop, throwing too many punches at somebody or just doing something stupid. So, maybe that's the impression a lot of the youth get. And to have somebody in the school that is like a positive figure from a policing perspective, I think it'd go a long way to kind of dispelling, rumors or certain narratives. So, if you have someone like yourself in there and you can talk about, your experiences and where you came from and where you grew up, I think that's a very important part, especially to get to youth early. Because a lot of this stuff, a lot of their mindset kind of gets set, and not that it can't change, but it's definitely harder once you've started to establish some sort of values and morals and stuff as you've gone through your life. So I think it's definitely an interesting program, and there's things that could always be improved. But yeah, I think it's definitely a valuable resource.
Yeah, and that's one thing, people come up to, especially like law enforcement officers that work in the school system. They always tell some of those officers, especially ones that they're close with, that, they kept them from going down the wrong path. Because many times, like especially kids that have anger problems or issues, you're going to deal with that law enforcement officer at the school more than anybody. And if you're able to build a rapport with that kid and keep them on the right track, they'll remember that once they get older and they'll be like, well, okay, I might have went down the wrong path if it wasn't for this person, because they kept steering me into the best direction that I need to go. So that's why I believe in having law enforcement inside of school, having the school resource officers, like I say, especially ones that care about the kids. Like I said, they can be really vital in helping kids go in the path that they need to go to.
So one of the things I wanted to ask was, and this is just more of like a definitions, but so you've been a deputy. Is deputy the first rank when you first come out of the academy?
Yeah, well, basically, like I say, if you go to a police department, you're going to be considered a police officer. When you go to a sheriff office, which is a county organization, it would be a deputy. Okay.
And I imagine you have a few ranks in between. Like you watch movies or something, all you ever see is deputy and sheriff. So I imagine there's got to be something in between now.
Yeah, well, the way it works for our agency and most agencies, you go from a deputy. If you get promoted from a deputy, some places will have what we call a master deputy. Basically, somebody that's, passed most of the classes they need to have, been working for a certain amount of time, but the next actual rank would be corporal. After corporal, you'll be a sergeant. After sergeant, we have a lieutenant, captain, major. If you have a colonel, then you're deputy chief, and then you're sheriff.
Wow. That's quite the mix of ranks. And it's our service, you go from constable to sergeant. But if you go to our National Police Service, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, you're a constable, then a corporal, then a sergeant. So I just never understood the logic of how they come up with the names and where they kind of fit in. So with that, so you worked in special operations. You were special operations deputy. You also been in the field operations division. What's the difference between those two areas?
Well, field operations is basically your patrol officer. Basically, you get your calls of service, your domestics, your traffic accidents. If they do happen, you can respond to them. That's what you handle. Service operations deputy is what we do is basically proactive policing. We're the ones that out there that was going to do the traffic stops. We was looking for drugs, people that was wanted, looking for guns, all that stuff like that. We're answering calls if they needed us to, but besides that, we was out there doing traffic stops, walking through neighborhoods, trying to deter crime. So basically, we was having a neighborhood that was having a whole bunch of car break-ins or things like that at nighttime. Just switch our schedule. At nighttime, we'll be out there working, try to catch those people. So I feel like I did my best work when I was on the crime suppression team, which is our special operations division. Mm-hmm. And basically, like I say, it's just a aggressive patrol division. That's all it is. Like I say, you're out there stopping people, trying to find the people that's wanted, just make sure if they don't have drugs, have firearms, or they do anything type of illegal activity. That's what we're looking for.
How can you kind of walk us through just maybe the path of your career since you've been with Burke County, and just maybe how many years you've done in each of the areas?
Okay. Well, yeah, I started off my own road patrol as just a regular deputy. I did that for 11 months. And basically, after when we came down there, we all came down there with a sheriff. They brought a team called Crime Suppression Team. Basically, like I said, they were just the top team of the agency. Their aggressive patrol unit, they made most of the arrests. Most of the car chase and stuff happened because of them. They were just that type of unit. I knew I wanted to go to a unit like that. So basically what I did on my days off, when I was working and I could cut away and I wasn't too busy, I'll go ride with them, become students of them, learn how they did things. Eventually, I was asked to come over to the team in November of that year. I was on crime suppression for about 2 years to 2019. Yeah, by the end of 2019. I made several good cases over there. We had a good team. We were just all Class A, Type A personalities over there. So we all had the eagerness to want to work and try hard and make good cases. After that, my sheriff told me, like, okay, well, you done road patrol, you done the specialized division, you need to get some supervision, under your belt. At that time, I had just finished up my bachelor's degree. I was going to get my master's, and he said you need to have both of these so you can progress a little bit further. So I applied for the sergeant, and I got the sergeant job on night shift. I enjoyed working night shift. I did that for about a year. I tell people I prefer working night shift over days. It's just something I like doing. I really don't like being around with all the brasses there. Just my cup of tea. I say it was this. Some people like that. No, I don't like doing all the bank runs and all that stuff. Like I said, you're gonna have more fun at nighttime than you are at days.
Yeah.
That's just in my eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was a good thing for me. Like I said, I had some younger officers over there that I helped, try to lead them to the best path. We had fun. We grew up all together, basically learning the ins and outs of law enforcement. Teaching people how to become law enforcement officers is a little bit different than just working it out yourself, because you take what they're going through and you feel how they're going to have their career. You try to guide them towards the right way. So it was different for me. I had to slow down what I was normally used to doing, like doing my traffic stops, and explain to them how to do traffic stops or how to handle calls and watching them do it instead of me being hands-on and doing it myself. So it was a learning experience. After I got finished with that, like me and my sheriff, we talked a lot here, like, okay, well, you should try to get some investigation experience. I was still having fun on night shift, but he was like, you should just try it out, see what you get. So we had a couple of narcotic spots come open. I applied for that, got the job over there at narcotics as a sergeant, and I've been over there ever since. So that's been about 2 years I've been over there in narcotics. It's a little different, but like I say, the narcotics game is real crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You'll start off with basically like a gram of meth, and it could take you up to a couple of kilos of meth, depending on how you work it. So it's real crazy to see all the people that's involved with it, how much money is involved, the violence, all kind of things going to the drug game. And like I tell people, we're never going to stop it. It's a $1 billion industry. It's going to keep going. But if we can stop a few people from overdosing or from getting hurt because of drugs, I feel like we've done our job.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a massive beast to try and contain or mitigate. One of the things you kind of mentioned just about managing people, I was wondering when you were talking about that, what's the training like for you? So on a day-to-day, do you guys, maybe more so in the patrol side of things, but do you get lots of training days in a year?
Well, in the state of Georgia, in the law enforcement agency, you're required to get 20 training hours. Basically, so you got to get your firearms, use of force, deadly force, and all that stuff out the way. But for our agency, our sheriff makes sure that we have at least 60 hours. And then, like I said, we have other classes that we can go to if we sign up to it. He's always been big on training. Mm-hmm. He said you need to have basically all this training just to become better at your job, so you become servant leadership type of thing. So it's very important to him. I believe in training. Like I said, I just got my training instructor, my general training instructor last year. So I believe in training. I understand how much it helps people when you have them trained up the right way. They'll know how to handle situations. They don't have to keep calling people to figure out how to do things. So I believe in the importance of it. But basically, like I said, we'll have those 60 hours of training. You'll have it throughout the year. Basically, like I said, you'll get some report writing. You'll get other things as far as driving your vehicle, firearms. If you want to go to supervision classes, you can sign up for them, management classes. If you want to go the DUI route, as far as going to traffic units, you can do that as far as on-scene crashes and stuff like that. You can go to narcotics classes. Recently, I just came back from a SHIELD class because, like I said, I run the SHIELD on the SWAT team, so that was a good class for me. So basically, like I say, whichever career path you're choosing to go into, they can send you to these different classes that can help you get closer to it. So that's how training goes, basically, for the state of Georgia and our agency.
And now you mentioned SWAT. We talked a little bit offline about you being in the SWAT team. Can you kind of explain how it works down there? Like, because you're saying it was a bit part-time, so you do your full-time job, and then when you get called out, you go. But can you explain a bit about what it's like doing that side of the house?
Oh, yeah. Well, basically, like I said, on the SWAT team, it's about 17 to 18 people on a SWAT team. We have everybody from law enforcement officer to medics on the team that's part of it. But basically, like I said, we're just a part-time SWAT team. So we all have different jobs between investigations, being lieutenant, captains, working on road patrol. And basically, if we're activated, we basically drop everything that we got going on. We'll head to that call. We'll deal with that call. And if it's finished, we'll go back to our regular job. But we train once a month, mostly shooting, working on clearing houses and things like that. And basically, like I said, to be on the SWAT team, you have different qualifications you got to do. As I told you before, I'm a pretty big boy. I never like running, but to be on the SWAT team, you have to run a mile in under 9 minutes, do push-ups, sit-ups, do pull-ups, bench press like 85% of your body weight. Mm-hmm. You have to run 300-meter sprint, get back online in less than a minute, and then you have to qualify, get your heart rate together and qualify with your handgun. And then during the course of SWAT, like I say, you're going to qualify almost every month on your firearms just to make sure you're proficient, learn how to clear rooms, you work on your negotiation skills, the different tools that you use in law enforcement, such as, the RAMs and all that stuff. We have what we call an AMRAP vehicle, hostage rescues and different things like that. So then you have people that's on the team that's snipers and like medics and different things like that. So all that's part of it. And basically what happened is we'll just all come together. We have a call, figure out what we're going to do, and then we disperse into our different jobs.
Well, and you kind of made mention of what I was actually going to get into next, but just kind of on the militarization of police. Is that a big narrative down there? Do you guys kind of hear the complaints about that?
Well, you hear one or two people complain, like I say, MRAP is a big vehicle. Mm-hmm. It's heavy duty, it's about 60 tons. They're like, why do you need something like that? And there's only a couple people that say that, but, when you start seeing people getting shot at, then we got to rescue people with a vehicle, or we got to go into these terrains that we can't maneuver with our vehicle to understand the reason why. And most time, at most agencies, we don't pay for stuff like that. Like I say, you'll get it donated or do different grants and mm-hmm. things like that. So they think that most time the county's footing the bill for stuff like that, and which they're not. Most time, like I say, you'll get a grant and they'll get it donated to the agency, and we just use it for our SWAT team. Mm-hmm. So we don't have that kind of complaint. You hear like a couple of people just say it, they get all this money, but they don't need it. Like I say, I tell people all the time about SWAT, you don't appreciate it or you don't need it until you actually need it. Like I say, because we're not out there every day having SWAT calls, but when you have somebody go down or you got somebody that holds somebody hostage or something like that, and we have to go out there and take care of business, then you understand the importance of it.
Yeah, and you know what? Some of the stuff that I think the police are lacking, or at least up here anyways, I don't know about down there, but we don't do a good job of saying what you exactly just said. I mean, people don't realize you need an armored car, because if you take a regular police car, you take a simple 223 round, that's going right through that car, unless you're behind the engine block. But like a car is not going to be real cover for you. But maybe get some people out and showing them these actual things, whether it's media or politicians, whoever's saying the narratives, show them like, this is why we have this equipment, this is why we use it. Especially when, a lot of the stuff is developed by the military, and then we kind of take from that, what's useful. It's like they have the budgets to test all this out. They have the practical experience, whether it's in like theater of war or just on the day-to-day. The other thing too, I thought was kind of funny about the militarization idea was, at least for the Canadian Army, that they don't have, as much experience in combat as the American Army. A lot of our stuff is humanitarian work and helping out when there's floods or natural disasters. So it's like, the military is not really this. We're not out there. They're not out there just killing people. It's they actually do a lot of good work and community work. So just thought that's not even really a great thing to kind of complain about.
Yeah, and that's how it kind of is. Like we say, we have National Guard, like when floods stuff happen like that, or like say law enforcement officers are just overwhelmed with work and stuff like that, and we can't handle the situations that are going on. They'll deploy what we call the National Guard, and they'll help out as far as that part. But even like with the big vehicles that we use those for like if natural disasters happen, we need to go rescue people on top of rooftops, or if it's flooding in an area, those vehicles can go down those areas and we can help rescue them. Like I said, it's not all about the action part of the SWAT team. Like I said, we do hostage rescues. If something goes on, like somebody's house is getting burnt down, we need to go inside and get them. Or like I say, floods and natural disasters, trees down. Like I say, when trees get cut down, we have a hurricane come through or tornado. They'll call us in. We'll get chainsaws. We'll take those big armored vehicles that we do have. We'll go out there and cut down trees and stuff like that. So it's just not the part of being, like I say, militarization part. Like I say, we use it for all aspects of law enforcement to help the community.
Yeah. Well, and so in your current spot with narcotics, can you talk about some of the trends you might be seeing? And do you also work a lot with gang members in the sense that, you know, you're running informants and out there in the community, or are you guys mostly like a surveillance based team and you're not necessarily out there on foot?
Well, the way it kind of works here in narcotics is basically, like say, you could depend on road patrol, or when we had a crime spread scene, they'll give us informants, like people that want to work off different things. But basically, why we work is if we need to go outside in the community to do things, we'll go outside, pick up a couple cars, talk to people, see what they got going on. If we get a complaint, we'll handle it like that. But one of the guys that works in narcotics with us is also our gang investigator. And they kind of go hand in hand because drugs and gangs go hand in hand. That's how a lot of the gangs make money and keep the power. They use it through drugs, stuff like that. So it's one of the things that goes hand in hand. But a lot of our job is doing intel work, doing surveillance. Social media is always going to be very useful to us because, you know, people want to put everything on social media. But those are things that helps us doing our job of, you know, dealing with narcotics. But sometimes, you know, we have an open tip line. They'll give us a call about a house, like this house is doing this and that. What we'll do, we'll go out there, you know, figure out what's going on, see what we got going on, see if we can get some stuff going as far as an informant, a couple of traffic stops if need be, build it up to a case. And then if we need to do a search warrant at the residence, we'll do that. And then, like I said, if it's too big for us, we'll do what we can on our level. And then, like I said, we have a partnership with the DEA. And if they need to take over the case, we'll handle our part and just pass it over to them. And then they can take it a little bit further if they need to.
Okay. Do you guys interact a lot with, you know, the state level or FBI or any other agencies?
Yeah, actually, two of our guys that work over narcotics are with the DEA, which is basically like the federal agency for drugs. Basically, they're the big narcotics investigation unit for the federal side. And basically, like I say, if we have something that's going on outside of our jurisdiction, or if it's just a little bit too much for what we can do on our local level, we'll ask them for their help, and they'll help us with the case, or either take over the case and just incorporate us with it.
Do you have any plans to ever go over there? Go like to a different agency?
Well, yeah, my sheriff always told me, he said, man, you got these 2 degrees, you got the experience. He said, you know, try to go state or federal. As far as federal, like I say, I don't know how y'all are with PT and all that stuff. For like FBI, DEA, ATF and all that stuff, they have basically you got to run and do push-ups and all that. So I'm not really worried about push-ups and sit-ups, but they want you to run a mile and a half in like 12 minutes and 30 seconds. For me, I don't know how you are as far as running. For me, that's almost spreading 6 laps. So that's a little rough. It's just something I'm working on. But yes, I do have aspirations to become a federal agent one day, or either a state agent in one of these agencies. Just working on it right now. But yeah, it's one of the things that he pushes us towards. He said, you know, try to spread your wings, move around, look at different things. Like I say, policing in Georgia is going to be different than policing in Los Angeles and New York and different things like that. And he said you need to get outside of what you're used to and figure out, you know, how other people do things, you know, open your eyes up a little bit. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to in the future.
Yeah, I'm definitely not benching what you're benching. Yeah. I'm 185 pounds, and I've pretty much been that my whole life. I don't fluctuate much, so I'm 185. I can run. I'm definitely not benching 4 plates.
Yeah, see, and that's one thing that's really like, because you just never know when you have to run to somebody, but they're real big on your cardio, especially for our federal agencies. So they want you to be able to run, like say, because when you go through the academy, you're going to be running miles and stuff. And like I said, I'm just not one of those people that, you know, people tell you about runner's high. I never had that before. You know, I've run a couple of miles before, but I just don't enjoy running. Like it's a chore for me to do it. But I know it needs to be done, so I do it. But like for those agencies, you have to run. Like say, basically, like say you got to do 6 laps at a 2-minute pace, which for me the 2-minute pace is really, really fast.
What, like a basic federal agent, what are they running after? I just pictured them writing a lot of search warrants. Like, I didn't know they would need to run a lot.
But it just depends, because a lot of them have basically they have their own SWAT teams within the agency. So if you're on those type of divisions, or if you like working gangs and stuff like that, a lot of times you're going to be out there in the field handling situations. So just in case somebody takes off running, I guess that's why they want you to. But I don't think they do it like once you leave the academy. I don't think you have to do that like yearly. But it's just something like through the academy, they want to basically instill in you that you have physical fitness.
Oh, interesting. One thing I wanted to get to too was just talking a bit about family life, if you can, because you're married, and you got 5 kids. So how do you balance all of that with doing work, and then obviously you're maybe looking at a different placement for career wise. So what's it like balancing everything?
It can be a good chore, but you just got to make sure you have a good organization of time. That's why I tell people time management is good. Make sure you carve out time for your family, because at the end of the day, they're going to be there when the job is gone. So just make sure you keep that in mind. And that's one of the things that, as law enforcement officers, we face. We become the job. That becomes our identity, and we can't let that happen. You got to have something outside of it. Mm-hmm. But just make sure you spend time with your family, help them with homework. If you're going to cook dinner with them, watch TV, do whatever you do with them. Like I say, you don't want to neglect them. So basically, like I say, when I can get off work, if it's not nothing real pressing and it can wait till tomorrow, I let it wait till tomorrow, play with the kids, talk to the wife, just do what I need to do as a father, as part of the family, make sure that they know that I still love them. Now I want to spend time with them, because you don't want to neglect them, because that's when things can go away. So, I mean, it's hard. It's not like the easiest thing to do, but it's just, especially working in like a narcotics, or you work in the gang division, you can be asleep at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. You get a call, you got to get up because you got something hot coming in. So you have those situations, but you got to make sure when you set out time for them that you take it and, take vacations and take your time off and make sure you spend it with them and let them know that, you care about them. And then you also got to explain your job to them. Sometimes like, okay, well, most time I'm here, but right now I have to leave. Like, this is why I have to leave, and explain to them the reason why you're leaving. And then, just tell them, I'll make it up to you when I can. So it's one of those catch-22s. It's something that you got to work on as far as balancing home life and work life.
Have you ever come across like one of the kids come home and they are kind of saying things that they're hearing on TV, whether they believe it or not? But have you ever had those challenges?
No, well, they're asking about different situations that goes on basically locally, like if somebody gets shot or the fight break out at school and stuff, and somebody gets arrested, what happens to them. But as far as some of the other stuff, they don't really bother us about it or ask us about it, because I guess they haven't been exposed to it. But like I told them, if they have any questions about law enforcement that I can answer, I'll gladly answer them to them. But they just haven't experienced too much of that, because the 3 youngest are 11, 8, and 6. So they haven't really experienced too much of that. But like I say, you just never know.
Yeah. Well, just kind of talking maybe here about the future. So you're looking at maybe a different kind of career path, but what do you kind of envision for yourself on the career side of things going forward?
Well, I would like to either become a state or federal agent, but if I can, become like a, supervisor of a specialized division where I still can work. Because one of my biggest thing is, I can do both sides, the paperwork side and still work. I want to get a job where I'm just all paperwork and just behind the desk all day and all that. But I'm still a hands-on type of person. I like the action. And then additionally, I want to become an adjunct instructor. I enjoy teaching. I've had some great teachers in my life, and they helped push me to where I'm at. So I would like to become one of those instructors. But like I say, with a lot of colleges, they're going to online stuff. I just feel like I'll serve better in person, just so I can relate to people, look them in the eye, so they can feel where I'm coming from. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to in the near future, as far as law enforcement and as far as instructing.
What do you think you would teach?
Oh, criminal justice, like I said, basic criminal justice classes. I thought about going back to school to get another master's, but I'd say criminal justice has always been my passion. Teaching people about law enforcement and how it works and all the different other things inside the criminal justice system, as far as like say, the court system, the correction system. I've never been a correction officer. I've heard the stories of how it is, and I applaud those people that work in, prisons and jails. They have it pretty rough. I know it's rough inside those jails and stuff, so I applaud them. But just teaching people about different aspects of law enforcement Because many people just think, law enforcement is just a police officer and see stopping cars and things like that. But the thing about law enforcement, you have so many different things that you could do. You can go to a gang unit, you can go to a narcotics unit, you could do homicides, you could do violent crimes, property crimes, different things like that, admin, community service. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think everybody just does one job. I say that's what's so good about law enforcement. You can go to many different aspects of it. Like I said, if you want to do traffic, you become that traffic officer. If you want to stay on patrol, you can do that too. You can work in the school. So there's a lot of different things you can do with inside the law enforcement agencies or community.
So it sounds like even with, all the stuff you see in the news, and granted, the news is generally it's just drama and bad stuff going on. But it sounds like generally you would recommend to people to go be a police officer. If somebody asked you, would you do it again, or should I look into this? What would you kind of say?
Yeah, I'll encourage people to become a law enforcement officer. Like I said, it's been a great experience. You're gonna have your highs and lows with any career. Like I said, man, just the bond and camaraderie that you have with your peers is some of the best parts of it. You're gonna see some crazy stuff. You're gonna see some stuff that's gonna mess with you. But like I tell everybody, especially people in law enforcement, you just gotta have people you gotta talk to, especially what's going on. Because as a law enforcement officer, you have this tough image and you want to portray that. And a lot of times we tend to hold things in, and that could become a problem. And that's the kind of issues that we have in these different agencies across America. A lot of officers are committing suicide because they're basically holding all the stuff in. They have problems at home and problems at work, and then you go into vehicle wrecks and little kids getting killed. It kind of does something to your head, so you got to make sure you talk to people. But I will always recommend law enforcement to people. There's so many different things you can do, so many things that you can work with and different people. And I say it's basically a job for anybody if they want to do it. Like I said, you could be a tactical medic. You could do all that stuff within law enforcement. So I'm always going to push it on people. I mean, like I tell people, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I say, if you don't like it, that's fine. But I know how it's helped me and how I enjoy it. And I'm always going to be a big, representative of it. I believe in it.
Yeah. And I'd say that's probably the biggest thing for me is the camaraderie and just having those shared experiences with a lot of people, and just how it's transferable even across borders. Like I got a hold of you through LinkedIn, and then just a lot of the stuff I see that you're putting out there, I was like, man, that's the exact same thing that's going on up here. Where we think very similarly. We have the same experiences. So I thought, why not have this person on? Like, you probably got a good story to tell. It's always interesting to learn about people, where they came from. But yeah, it's one of those jobs that you can make friends basically worldwide, and no matter where you're from, you always have something you could talk about, and you make some good friends out of this job.
Yeah, because we experience a lot of things. You go through the calls that people get on your nerves, or the people make you laugh, or you're in those situations where you can't laugh, but something funny is going on because your partner's making fun of somebody. I said we all go through that, and that's just part of law enforcement. But that's what makes the job the job. And it's the part of it that makes you keep coming back to it. Like I said, I met some of my best friends through law enforcement. Some of the best memories I have is with law enforcement. So that's why I tell people about it. You're going to have those days when you're going to be like, man, forget this. It's just some of the days where you're just running 16, 17 hours, going from one call to the next, dealing with this crazy person, this other person, and all that stuff. But dealing with people that you like, having fun with, makes it all worth it. So that's why I tell people, man, if you don't have anything else to do, if you want a good job that's going to help you help people and basically help yourself, it's going to make you become a better person, I would say try law enforcement.
Awesome. Well, I said to keep you just around an hour. We're pretty much there. Is there anything you think we didn't cover or we should have got to that we didn't?
No, we covered a variety of things. I think we covered a lot.
Last thing, how should people follow you or connect with you?
Well, I said, mostly I use is LinkedIn. Like I said, if you want to get on there, add me. Like I said, I'll talk to anybody. Basically, like I said, I put out a lot of different content for law enforcement and basically for everybody else because, as far as law enforcement, that's what I do. But like I said, I want to help others, get to the spot that they want to go to. So if you need to reach me or anything, just reach to me at LinkedIn, and it'll be my name, Eric McCants.
I'll when I put the episode up, I'll put a link in there as well to your profile, just so people can find you. So, well, we'll end it there. If you could just hang on the line for a minute, I'm just gonna stop the recording.
Sounds good.